Hey, muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, muchísimas gracias to everyone for you guys' words, prayers, your time, as for everything in general you guys put down and send my way. De corazón se los agradezco. Now, to get into the story on him. Today, I want to touch on how, I hear the word solid and screening and all this mostly on everyone's video, right? And how they run makes and all in that sense of talk, right? But today I want to touch on something that tripped me out, and most importantly, how there is occasions where at all levels people skate from things, right? Or they slide on through, but how the system's so small in reality when everything surfaces, it comes out to light. But anyways, do allow me to get in the story and try to make sense, right? For this, I won't take you back, 2001, around there, and I was in Tehachapi, and I had a homie, they called him Dopey, from Avenues. He was a neighbor of me and Celia had, and at the time we were in one side of B section by ourselves. This happened shortly where I had to move in with somebody and that he had some coscorrones coming, right? I had told his story, but nevertheless, he was an older vato. He had been there before me, and Toro was there above us with a camarada from East Side Bowling, from Florencia. There was camaradas there where he was on the gallo, todo, right? So of course, I'm a new arrival. I not arrived there very long, or not had not been very long. So I don't know nobody. But if they're on the roll call, they're on the program, they're coming out to Concrete Yard. Of course, then there should not be nothing shady with them, right? So we used to go back and forth with conversations, and on the surface, as far as Artorica, right? Because he was even on the validated yard, right? Remember in Tehachapi, I was coming out to the group yard, but it was like camarada yard, right? That we had not been validated. And they might have had suspicions, whatever, but we weren't there yet, right? But anyways, and he told me a lot of stories, right? From avenues. We're talking about from the early 90s, mid. Again, it was 2001 around this time, right? So basically, he was serving live for a hot one he had picked up on the streets for his neighborhood. So, not to get too much or make this video very long, everything went out like that, but he was a real humble individual. You know, there's camaradas to camaradas, right? Me personally, I'm the individual that if I went to store and I know camaradas until they didn't go to store, I wait for the kitty to touch base with them, so hey camarada, shoot your line, make some tubes, and ahí te van some sopas, frijoles, how you doing on cosmetics, ahí te va, and then, request for the kitty as well, homie. He's just the type of individual I was. But anyways, the homie was the same. He went to the store and, hey homie, I made a spread, ahí te va, or, just small things that he went out his way. So again, as you guys know, with my story, how I ended up punching out of there and going to Corcoran Shoe, right? And things on buff in Corcoran, right? To a certain extent. And in Corcoran, there was another camarada from Avenues that was there. But the main one I got all this from was, Gangster. I at that time, once I hit already B yard, validated. As you guys know, I went the first go around at cancer. I was back there, so I used to go out to Mercy Hospital. So in one of them trips, he went out that way. So we had a time to conversate, right? And you guys know in the little trip, whatever. But anyways, he was going through his little struggle when it came with his brothers, right? But again, this individual dopey logged into my mind, so I asked them about him, right? More so I knew whatever they were trying to minimize it on there, he was somebody, right? Because he wasn't, one of them cats. So he didn't know him. So, after a while, I heard a male come in and I remember his last name. So I told the camarada, right? And he told me that that wasn't his placazo, that he's been wanting for a long time because he was an informant for the Federicos when it came to, I guess, little Pee Wee, right? I guess he backtracked and even though he was older than little Pee Wee, he still weaned out and told on him, right? But he's been in the shadows. People thought, or they thought, Homeboy had picked up and just, boogied out. But, I guess during that time, there was a lot of chaos on the streets, right? 94, 95, 96, in that time frame, right? As you guys know. And he cut some time. He skated through the county, whatever, and he was doing live, in prison. And I guess the Federicos are funny like that, right? You should throw information towards them and they attempt to give you all new paperwork to slide on through, right? To protect you. Cause for one reason or another, you're more useful to them as so than in them yards, right? But anyways, I guess his Rupa class was sleepy or something like that from Avenues. But I hope I can make sense of this. Which is I want you guys to see how from one angle to the next it was a trip, right? Cause I always I was one of them cats, right? That I asked. I didn't have no shame in asking, right? Not cause I was gonna buckle down and not do things, but it was just in me to ask, right? So I was flipped out, especially cause I was back there like a year with them and he was there before me, as I stated, and nothing came towards him, right? So who knows where he went after that, right? Cause Gangster was in the shelf at that time, so I don't know if it went further than that. But nevertheless, in those trips, me and Gangster actually conversated on a pili that you heard for a while, and I was curious of, cause I know he had gotten arrested with the Señor or the Pili Pee-wee, right? Aguirre. And then after a while, just out of the blues, he just went MIA. So the word on the curve was he had became a Christian, right? So he decided to hang his gloves. Which I want to touch on Pee Wee from Orange County next, and how I don't see nothing wrong with it, right? If you're sincere. But anyways, I was curious about this Peely because again, he was heard of. He was there in the trials. He got sentenced, and his name circled around. One time I brought up with Raul from Corona, or he brought it up actually when we were conversating on certain things, and basically he said he was a sheep in wolf's disguise, something in that effect, right? So I was a youngster, and a youngster don't want to admit when they're wrong, So yeah, Simon, and you guys get what I'm trying to say. And anyways, basically he told me he took me back on a little trip. So I want to share with you guys so you guys see how it's all just lies and betrayals, and it's from the top to the bottom, right? But at all times it's all based on money, dope, and a bunch of Decato actions, right? Always looking on how to get over on the next man. I know it sounds bonito on carnalismo, causa. You use these words that you want them to stick, right? In a positive way. Which, as you guys know, I was one of them that held on to them from the heart for a long time. But anyways, I don't want to lose track. Nevertheless, he told me that, you know, when Pee Wee got arrested, this is something I did not know personally. It had to do with something he got into it with the homies from Eastside 13, right? And I guess Pee Wee had to go out there and that was his area. But for some reason, the vatos from Eastside 13, they don't want nothing to do with it, with Pee Wee at least, right? So anyways, things came to play as they did and they got into it. And that night, I guess Pee Wee and who was with them had the bad end of things, per se the least, right? And it's the reason why Pee Wee got arrested, right? I guess he got hit too, and someone else with him or some to that effect. Please excuse me, it's been a while. But anyways, up until that point, I have heard that Eastside 13 had a green light, right? A tough one. And now, well, I heard about the green light and a lot of things that intel with them when they had that green light from Pee Wee. But, I did not know that they had bucked up to the point where they had got in a shootout with Pee Wee and whoever he was with, and they had shot Pee Wee and had took out whoever was with them, right, with Pee Wee, and that's how he ended up getting caught and never has seen the streets again, right? Now, without losing you, going back to my original question, right, on Cowboy from Bassett Grande, and was just curious first off, how he got made and how it was so short lived, right? And mainly it's because I did a lot of things for Terco, so you mentioned Terco, Bassett, his carnales from the same neighborhood always pop up. But there was always something they're missing from Cowboy. When you bend around right away. When you hear BS, you were able to see it, right? So even though they would tell me, hey, se hizo cristiano and he pulled out or whatever, he had never been busted, so he couldn't hang. I heard a bunch of different excuses, right? But anyways, gangster told me that wasn't it right there. The problem lied with that cowboy. He was stepping on Pee Wee's toes. He was collecting. He was collecting already from Eastside 13, in South Central, and I guess they got on him or something to that effect, and they told him, hey, did you send someone over here? He said, nah, why, who's going? And they gave Pee Wee's name, and he said, basically told the homies from Eastside 13 that he was the one to receive, that was an imposter. Pee Wee was, right? It is why they suited up, put it up, and they went to war with Pee Wee. Not cause they went against. It's what Cowboy at the end just said, I don't know what you guys are talking about, and pulled back. And at the same time, Pee Wee just took it as they were refusing to get with the program, right? Or to keep it as things are, they were refusing to pay rent to who that territory belonged to. Anyways, when this happened, there was few people that knew, and I guess what happened was they ended up taking the main dude from Eastside 13 out, right? I guess that was in contact with Cowboy and that started everything with Pee Wee. And the suspicions, but they never proven it was that Cowboy called that, because He had to cover his tracks. Again, homies got the green light put on them, but Cowboy could never get over that hump. He knew that he had it there. So I guess they were in the same Rico lag, right? So when they went to the feds and stuff, you know, he felt the skeletons were gonna come out, and it is why he got there. And shortly after getting there, he punched. And then that's when everything surfaced and came out about Cowboy. And now he was stepping on toes of Pee Wee's. How basically he didn't arm these individuals, but he's misled the homies from Eastside 13 to go to war with Pee Wee, knowing what was gonna come to them. But I just thought I'd get out of the normal my story, just share this with you guys. That guy Dopey, like I stated, he was my neighbor. I went out to Mercy Hospital with Gangster and literally had this conversation with him. And as I, again, verified it, because, I ain't done either with Terco once I hit up there. And yeah, at the end of the day, Cowboy, he didn't go out like a Christian. He went out because he was betraying camaradas to the point of them getting hurt. Or like in this case, we catching live, getting shot, and the camarada that went with them getting his life taken, and at the same time washing their hands and putting it on the homies from Eastside 13. But it is just to open that little glimpse again how, look, Cowboy was in county, going through trials, everything until they hit the feds. Is when him on his own called the Christian card, right? And me being a Christian, I take that insulting, right? And pulled out until after everything came out to light. How the Federicos were helping these cats sleepy, be in the shadows, being next door to Atos, and picking up information, right? And how nobody knew. I guess gangsters from them times, right? So he had personal knowledge of everything. And as things came out, then of course everybody heard about Cowboy. But you guys remember what I said when I started this? My advice, as always when I got someone younger than me in the cell, was when they used to tell me, Camarada, what's your advice? My only advice is don't trust nobody. And I used to look at them in the end telling me, even myself, do your program. Now I changed it a little, but it's under the same perspective, right? Everyone be smart. When people go out there and they start playing a part or even sticking their chests out more than you guys by now should be able to notice it. Don't just be trucha. Be on your right to ask. Don't allow yourself to become something of what everything has become, which is, bold up and just take it. Just be smart. Most importantly, it's how the game is. If it ain't these individuals going out their way to use and abuse our gente in one way or another, it's all what it is. Carnalismo. Look for those you grew up as a child. Now, I'm not minimizing those camaradas that are solid and that have that heart that are there. Please don't take it as so, and I forgive me if I come out as so. There is a lot, but unfortunately, there's a lot more that swing the other way. So again, just be smart, stay loyal to those that deserve it. Overall, God, yourself, and family. Please stay true to yourself and loyal to loved ones. Buenas noches.